that we're faced with on a day-to-day basis with the cemetery. And much of those challenges are, one, the limited number of burial plots that we have left. Two, with having staff to go out to probe for availability to see whether or not the sites are available. And with that, I'm going to have Randy to tell you what that involves, because it is a challenge for Randy and his staff.
Do a demo. Yeah.
First of all, just a couple things. The wall that is right here, this little circular wall, that was done by an Eagle project that they just completed probably a couple months ago. I have another Eagle project just getting ready to start to take off, and what that's going to entail is re-landscaping the front of the wall, and then the existing all the way down both sides. They'll clean that up, flatten it out, put new rock in, just kind of freshen that all up. So, and all that is done by the Scout program here in town, along with donations from businesses and that kind of stuff. A couple things with the cemetery. We did have our disinterment. The first one, I've been here a while. The first one we've had was a few weeks ago. A little interesting. If you've never done that, come join me. We do. The cemetery is quite old. Typically, when that changes hands, you never know what's where, and that's one of the biggest things that we have to face. Is every time a burial does come up, we basically have to come out here and physically try to find if there's room enough space in between A and B. And I have a steel probe up here. I'm just going to show you real quick kind of what that entails. It does take a little bit of time. If it doesn't map out just right, go to plan B and you punt, I guess. No, we just really have to kind of figure out what the best case scenario is. So most of the times it works, but it's those few that don't is what you really have to be careful with.
Randy and Sherry, how many plots are left, and what is, you think, the lifetime left in this cemetery?
We have just over 200 plots left, and I would like to say that we have at least 2 years left, but that's not realistic because, right, typically we get families or new residents that come in and they begin to purchase not just one, but it becomes 2 or 3, right?
5 or 10 at a time.
Right, and so thereby, depleting the number that we have left. And so every day, we have someone come in and purchase 1 or 2 or more plots. And then I have to send for Randy to come out and probe to see what is available, which is why we're looking at having a GPS person to come in and just kind of do a ground penetrating to see where each of those, plots.
Yeah, they're basically plots. And basically what that entails is simply, it's time consuming for us to have to come out and do that every time we come out here because we don't want to make a mistake on something like that. I mean, this cemetery is pretty old. We don't know what's there. And so it's almost for a mental state for me to make sure it's going to work before I do it.
Do you have to probe when somebody buys one or when you're going to bury somebody? Or both?
Well, typically we like to probe it before we sell it, and then we put that on record so we don't have to typically probe it twice. If we come out and probe it once and when it's up for sale, we'll put a notation in the memo saying that it's been probed, it's, whenever that was, and hopefully that saves us some time. If we're not sure, we always probe it again because I don't sleep well at night if I'm doing the wrong thing, especially in the cemetery. It's a little nerving sometimes, but it works.
Do you want to show them how to?
Yeah, I got a steel probe up here. It's just a quick example of what we have to do and the time consumption it does take.
You'll notice too, we're overseeding right now the cemetery. You'll see the seed down. We just did this.
Yeah, we just tore all this up. We just put several hundred pounds of seed down throughout the cemetery. So here in the next couple of weeks, it'll green up really nice. But the trees cause havoc with the grass, especially in the summertime when it gets really hot. The trees really suck the life out of the grass, and that's why you see a lot of the bare spots. Typically, through the winter, the decent months of weather, it's really not an issue, but when the 115 degree comes in, it really causes a problem. So basically, like this would be a plot right here, a probe. What we have to do is we have to come in and probe that and just try to find out exactly what's in there. A little guy like me, it takes a little longer, but basically you go down, you have to find the side of this, the side of this, measure it out and make sure there's enough space between point A and point B. And we have to do that every time we sell a thing because, back in 1930, we don't know if it's a wood casket, cement casket, we don't know what's there. And I certainly don't want to get a backhoe in here and excavate and make a mistake. So it's just have to be as precise as possible. Luckily, we've done a pretty good job of that, but it does take a lot of time to, I mean, these are family members amongst a lot of us, and you just don't want to go down that road. So
It's back on the previous comment with, the spaces being taken up here. I know at one time they looked at maybe shifting this parking lot forward so it's over the ditch and utilizing that. Is that something that would be beneficial?
we could, we could do
I
that.
know we don't, but I mean, is it something we're pursuing is it worth getting that many more plots? And,
Yeah, basically, you're probably right, Craig. You might have to just figure out what the property is, how many plots would fit in there, to see if it's doable compared to the existing set that we're looking at out there.
Well, no, I think that's still good, but if we ran into a problem before that got going, just to expand.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, it's always potential, sure. And it's right here within the corridor, so if that's definitely an option, I think. But yeah, for us as maintenance people this takes a lot of time. We definitely just don't want to make mistakes on this kind of stuff. Some of the other issues we run into is a lot of these headstones, they're in the way of, when we come here and dig a grave, we get a big dump truck in here with a backhoe. We have these benches that are taking up the alleyway spots. It's getting pretty tight. It's getting really tight. And a lot of times we have to pull a headstone, move it out of the way so we can dig the grave, and then we have to set the headstone back. And it just takes a lot of time. So, and those types of things you got to be very careful with. So.
And what we're proposing is a company to come in, use their ground penetrating radar, and they can get the exact coordinates so we can not only do this probing, but have a GPS map so that the clerk's office has a more accurate map of it. And that'll be coming forward here in the next little while. We have to do
the cemetery has switched hands many times over the years. And so just because one person does it this way, it doesn't mean the next person is going to do it the same. And so if you're off a foot here and a foot there, this type of atmosphere, you got problems. And so, Brian's right. What we're trying to do is solidify the map and find out exactly where everything's at, almost to a T. It's going to save us a lot of time, and the record keeping will straighten that out. I mean, it's 1890, it's an old cemetery, so something that we kind of feel like it may be necessary at this time. So something to think about.
Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
More of a statement than a question.
Yes.
Probably she is more to my question. You're still investigating all of the veterans that are buried out here?
Yes, currently we have 117 veterans that are buried within the cemetery here.
The reason I'm asking that is I coordinate the Veterans Honor Guard in the area. And May, we always come out here and try to find all the veterans that are in here to put the flags up.
Right. That's actually a good point. There was another Eagle project that was done by Merlin Hafen's boy, and they come out and they contacted all the veterans that they knew about that they could contact. There was about 80, 85 of them, and what they did is they come in and you'll see these little things here. They come in and implemented these little cement bucket style type things, and every holiday and stuff like that, they'll come in and I think it's turned over to the veterans now, but they'll implement about 80 to 90 American flags throughout the cemetery. And that was a really good project. I think when you come through here and drive through there on holidays and different venues, it looks Veterans Day, it looks really good. So, those Eagle projects really kind of help out, and it's cost effective for us. So they're good projects. So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See the city's own.
How's the health of the trees?
Health of the trees? Mulberry trees, in my opinion, are some of the best. The problem with mulberry trees is they raise havoc with grass. They just don't, grass does not do well around. These are actually more of a weed species than a tree species. We've actually had horticulturists come in to try to get the grass to come in better, different types of grass. We've done soil samples. Because the root system of the mulberry tree is so extensive, and it basically sucks the life out of the grass and the soil, extremely hard. But I've done many conversations with people. They prefer shade over a little bit of grass when they come and visit the family members. They'd rather sit in a shaded area, and so you kind of have to give and take a little bit. And this kind of is what it is, yeah. But they've been here a long time. Mulberry's a great tree. You just have to take it for what it is, and it works. So.